Let's talk about plot. Are you struggling with it? Do you feel like something's missing? That is exactly how I felt through multiple early drafts of my first novel. I had educated myself on beat sheets and I knew the basics of plot structure, but something still wasn't clicking for me. But then I read this book, The Plot Whisperer by Martha Alderson, and something completely shifted for me. For the first time, I was able to actually see the shape of my story. Now, Martha talks about a lot of things in this book, clearly a lot of things I loved, but today I wanted to talk about something that she calls energetic markers. And when it comes to plotting, this was a complete game changer for me, and I think it will help you too. So here's what she says. The act of creating something from nothing connects us to the universal story. 4 scenes or moments in the universal story carry energetic surges that are powerful enough to turn the dramatic action of the story in a new direction, create a whole new level of intensity, and contribute to its thematic significance. Whenever possible, strive to identify these 4 energetic markers early in the writing process. The first time I read that, I'm sure I highlighted it, underlined it. I sat with it for a second because it was that word energy that really unlocked something for me. I realized I've been focusing too much on the literal, what happens, what my character does, when really I needed to be thinking about how the story feels when it moves forward. The idea that stories have energetic surges, rises and falls of emotion and tension, suddenly made plotting feel way less rigid. So instead of trying to force my story into these perfect beats, into these perfect scenes, I started asking myself something different. Where does the energy shift? When does the story intensify? Or when does it calm down? Or when does it transform completely? That was the missing piece. So here is how Martha breaks it down in the book. There are 4 key moments that she calls the energetic markers. So the first one she calls the end of the beginning. And if you're already familiar with plot structure, the 3-act structure beats like a beat sheet from Save the Cat, you know that that's probably the debate scene. It's the end of Act 1. It's when your character has made a choice and they're about to transport themselves into the world of Act 2, where whatever choice they made in that debate scene at that end of the beginning, they can't go back on. They're moving into a new direction entirely. And the energy rises in that scene because there's no going back. So that's your first energetic shift. The second is the halfway point. That's when the energy usually flips. Your character might realize something new, like maybe this goal that they have been trying to achieve thus far is not going as planned, or the cost of getting it is so much higher than they could have imagined. So it's not just the middle of your story, it's your story turning itself inside out, which obviously evokes an energetic shift there too. You're gonna have lots of emotion, you're gonna have lots of tension, and again, it's the middle of the story. Then comes our third energetic marker, which is the crisis. This is that sort of typical all is lost moment. The energy crashes, everything falls apart, and your character has to face something that they have been avoiding. Obviously, this idea of crisis is going to evoke a lot of tension, a lot of emotion, and as the reader and the writer writing it, you're gonna feel an energetic shift when you're writing these scenes. And finally, we come to the 4th energetic marker, which is the climax, and that is the biggest energy surge of all. It releases everything that's been building in the story, the conflict, the motion, the tension. So yes, maybe these moments are familiar, but what I love about this framework is that it doesn't feel like such a formula. It's about feeling where those big energetic shifts should lay in your story. And I think you can sense them as a writer, even when you don't have all your plot points mapped out. I am a big believer in not crazy outlining in the early stages of drafting. I love the idea of discovering, of following your curiosity, of holding the work loosely and finding out what the story could become as you work your way through discovering. But I think also there is a point or a draft where you just need an outline, where you just need to understand what you have and how to work through it. And if you were struggling with plot like I was for so long, this energetic framework is so helpful in those early stages. Another way that Martha exemplifies this in the book is through a physical map that you can draw yourself. She recommends getting a big poster board or a piece of butcher paper and putting it on your wall and then drawing these lines that show the energetic markers. So I'll put on the screen what It looks like this is just my recreation so you can see it better. I found being able to see these 4 markers and see the way the lines emulate the energy shift really helpful, because I was able to just look up in front of my desk where I had my poster board and see my novel. I put post-it notes with little plot points so that I knew where these energy shifts were, and if I needed to move them around, it was easy with the post-it notes. But it was really, really helpful to see the book as a whole. This is something I recommend to my coaching clients or those that I work with in my first drafting cohorts, because I think that when you're stuck within your computer or in your notebook for so long and you have so many pages of writing, it's very helpful to condense it in any way you can in your physical environment to, like I said, just be able to look up and see your story, at least energetically, where the tension and the emotion is rising and falling. So I've already talked a little bit about how this book has helped me, but I wanted to get a little more specific. So one of my early drafts, I was really struggling with that midpoint, with that halfway point scene. I had no idea how to progress the plot, what my character should be doing. It just felt really stuck, and obviously it was hindering my momentum to get through the draft. So when I found this book, one of the things that I really connected with was in this part where she was talking about the halfway point. She called it the recommitment scene. And this reminded me that this is a point in the story where it needs to be re-energized. It's where a shift in the momentum comes back to the protagonist and reminds us and the character what they're fighting for, what they're in pursuit of. I think I was getting too bogged down in all the details, of course, and all the things that come with the early drafts, but this reminded me of that re-energizing. How can I re-energize the story? So again, instead of obsessing over what happens next and continually asking myself that question, I asked myself a new question. What is the energy of this moment? Is it building tension? Is it releasing it? Or is it completely transforming it? And I can honestly say this little switch really changed the way I wrote that scene and then continued to revise, because it brought me back to the emotional current of the story instead of being so caught up in plotting logistics. So that was one of the main things I got from this book. It says plotting made simple on the back, and I can really agree. I think sometimes with craft books, there's just certain ones that speak to you, or in this case, just a few pages. I loved a lot about this book, but that is something that really stuck with me and that I continue to go back to and that I continue to use and that I continue to teach. If this is resonating with you, thinking about your writing in a more intuitive or alive way, I actually dive deeper into this very topic in my Wild Draft 6-month novel writing cohort. We're currently enrolling. We start in January and write until June, and the goal is to get a finished first or very early draft done in those 6 months. We embrace the messiness of the first draft and being okay with being in that discovery and playful stage. We also have the accountability to keep us right on track, keep our goals in line with each other in the group. We have write-in sessions each month so that you have a designated day to get your writing done with the accountability of all of us together. And we actually finish a first draft. So if 2026 is the year you want to finish your novel, I am now enrolling. There's only a few spots left. This is a small group container and experience. So if you're interested in that, you can find the link below to enroll for January. And if you're interested in more first or early draft novel writing tips, I have this video for you here. So I'll see you over there or in my next one. Bye.